MP Remove further asks which strategies is NVGB utilizing to ensure the infrastructure is adequately equipped to handle the increasing energy demands seeing the island's growth. It is important to note that NVGB is not consulted regarding large infrastructure projects ahead of time. They usually learn about these projects primarily through the local newspapers and media websites, especially during groundbreaking events for large-scale projects. The company is notified when the project developer requests the construction meter and presents the infrastructure requirements based on the anticipated load demand. The current management of GB is in the process of developing a long-term strategy. As part of this process, they have requested the Ministry of Roaming to provide them with the projected inventory for the next 24 months. This information will help NVGB to make more accurate projections of its capacity needs. I thought a break was being requested. Question 8. How is NVGB working to improve its communication strategies, especially during unplanned outages and/or emergencies? NVGB has remained steadfast in the company's unwavering commitment to serve the community with quality and reliable water and electricity services, and through interactive communication efforts. Though in some cases, I must say we have been quite concerned about communication and asked for an increase in communication to the public in the unforeseen event of service disruptions and/or outages. NVGB's team goes above and beyond their regular work schedules and resolve any respective challenges, and also provide ongoing community updates via social media, newspaper notices, WhatsApp platforms to all media outlets, including radio stations, newspapers, and TV 15. And I must say, yes, I've seen it also on their Facebook page, social media. Considering these many challenges, there are major overhauls or strategic shifts being discussed to enhance service delivery. This was the question. GB is currently collaborating with World Bank and NRPB to complete an investment plan. The scope for the investment plan will be executed in 2 phases, as I mentioned a bit earlier, and has a 10-year projection, looking at it from 2024 to 2034. The optimal expansion will minimize the expected net present value of investment operating costs and costs of non-supply demand over the period from a country's perspective, subject to risk-based constraints regarding minimum reliability and maximum operation costs. They have engaged a consultant, as I mentioned before, through the NRPB, who is assisting with the crucial feasibility study. Madam Chair, with your permission, I won't repeat answers, especially since several members did ask the same questions, and they are printed and projected as well. So I wouldn't want to bore the listening public. Renewable energy sources is a growing global priority, and in presentation, the MP requested, you indicated that GB is considering renewable energy, what alternative models or energy sources are being considered, and is there a timeline? As part of the ongoing efforts to modernize NVGB's infrastructure and ensure consistent and reliable power delivery to residents and visitors, along with the NRPB, GB will jointly undertake the development of a comprehensive investment plan. The timeline for this was not mentioned. This is asked by several MPs, and so I will see whether within the round 2 we can give a more accurate outline of the timeline in terms of the implementation. One of the questions did mention that the first quarter would, the feasibility study would be finalized in the first quarter of this year. So the management informs that the feasibility study officially started yesterday. So once we have that study, then you'll be able to put forward the dates, etc. Has NVGB conducted any internal audits or assessments to ensure its operations run transparently? The primary task of the current management when they took office in September of 22 was to perform a current state assessment on what had happened in March 2022. The recommendations were converted into a short-term plan, which management is currently executing. Operations are transparent as management constantly communicates, reports, and holds meetings with the supervisory board of directors. Are these plans to engage St. Martin's community in feedback sessions regarding NVGB services to ensure direct redressal of resident concerns? NVGB is in a constant and direct contact with the community to address customer concerns with an open door policy, also utilizing telephone, email, live chat, social media, and moreover, direct assistance, through direct assistance. Additionally, NVGB will introduce a comprehensive public information series entitled NVGB Connects with the Community or Connects the Community. This initiative has been developed to provide pertinent information with clarity and transparency based on the company's operational policies and procedures. The purpose of NVGB Connects the Community is to educate, engage, and build understanding among our valued customers and the community of St. Martin, as per the statement of management. Vital company information will be disseminated through direct information sessions with the communities as well as print, digital, and social media outlets.
Are you SXM insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXM is cardless. Request your My SXM account today and enter the virtual office of SXM. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
SXM, yeah. Your social and health insurances.
Clarification I had, Prime Minister, it's in relation to a question that my colleague asked, and the fact that you mentioned that legislation is not fully completed in place as it regards to the screening process. So some concerns have been expressed as to whether the VADSM is legally authorized to be part of this screening process. Is this one of the areas that the legislation that you said is currently not in place to cover? So do they have the legal authority to be part of the screening process? And my question, Prime Minister, the General Audit Chamber held a press conference, I believe it was 2 weeks ago, in which they indicated that based on a report that they had conducted, they recommended that ministers as well as members of parliament return unused per diem, and also that ministers and members of parliament travel economy class rather than first class. They're indicating that this is taxpayers' money, and this way it would be more efficiently used. So my question to you, Prime Minister, I know that you're outgoing in your function as Prime Minister, but you will be in Parliament, so this would still apply to you. Are you willing to travel economy class, and do you agree that per diem that is not spent should be returned to government's coffers?
First to the question as to the legality of the VDSM and the screening process. The VDSM's ordinance determines who they can and cannot screen. However, if government requires them to screen someone who is not within their purview, it has to be done with the permission of said person. So what has happened is that in us putting together lower legislation, we determined that by national decree that we would utilize this process. And in that's why I mentioned an integrity document is signed by the applicant or the candidate minister, wherein they agree to be screened by the VDSM, as well as to have a judicial research done via the courts of St. Martin. And the fact check that would take place based on the VDSM would focus on the facts that they placed in their form. So if you wrote in your form that, or within your CV, which is an attached document, a required attached document, that you have completed a bachelor's in the Netherlands or in the UK or in the US from this date to this date, they would fact check that. So this is how they judge the integrity of the ministers. You have to submit your finances and declare all bank accounts wherever they may be. You have to do certain things. So if then in their research they find that you did not declare, persons are given the opportunity to update their records in case they forgot. Things can be overlooked. And you have to, married persons in a relationship have to also do the same for their spouses. However, it is not as in-depth as an A-level or even a B-level screening that, say, the SGs and the CEOs of government-owned companies, CFOs, and other department heads have to go through. It is a very minimal screening to ensure that at least the integrity level of the minister that they handle, that their taxes are up to date, and if not, that they have a payment arrangement, etc. So it's the candidate who has submitted the documents, submitted it and signed that they agreed to be screened. So if after the fact they are not approved as being able to sit as ministers, you agree to be screened. So I don't understand on what basis you are then able to go to court and appeal said decision. Yeah, in my opinion, and based on my experience, the legislation and courts could prove me wrong, because that is what it is there for, to challenge. That's what the court is there for, to challenge a law in its application and order lower legislations. But yes, and I reiterate, the ordinance that it is based on, the process that we now use, is the one on integrity of ministers. So I would suggest that you research that to see what is required in there, and basically the questionnaires and the information that has to be submitted relates to that. And then the question on the General Audit Chamber's report, we do have a travel policy in government where the amount is submitted. I know for sure at the civil servants level, the reporting has to be there. If it's always enforced, I cannot say off the top of my head, but legislation, or let's say lower legislation, already exists, policy exists and can be further tightened to determine how that should be done. First class is used very broadly, but when we're booking for business travel, we're looking at business class, and sometimes it's not available. And we do travel, whether it's comfort or economy. At the end of the day, the office you hold is what you're representing. And so the opportunity to be able to travel and continue to work now that there's also Wi-Fi on board, etc. So it's basically a work trip. It's a work trip. It's not a pleasure trip. So it's not necessarily that you're going on first class to enjoy yourself. You're going in business. And I must say my last travel was fully economy by choice because I had to be there particular dates and there were no business class seats available. So it is not a moot deal it is unavailability. And I believe it comes with the territory. On St. Martin, we should be able to respect that. Opinions are there, yes. But when you travel in representation of the country, you are still, let me say in this current function, the Prime Minister. If I travel as a member of Parliament, you also have diplomatic immunities. So it comes with the territory, and I think we can improve the reporting aspect, yes, because more often than not, lately with the prices out there, especially in New York, in Europe, the Netherlands, and in Washington, where I travel mostly, it is much more expensive than we would think. And especially for international travels, if you do not book 6 months in advance, it is quite high, much more than we would normally budget for. But it is important to represent at those fora, and so I think then we as government make the choices as to how we're going to, what is the, return on the investment of attending such a function.
I would like to thank each and every one of you for coming out to the 44th Heineken Regatta. We look forward to seeing each and every one of you for the 45th. I hope you can repeat. And let us continue to make St. Martin and Heineken Regatta one of the best events throughout the world. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And the 44th St. Martin Heineken Regatta is a wrap. It was an amazing success. 4 days, fantastic sailing. The breeze picked up over the weekend and the sailors loved it. We couldn't have asked for better conditions. And of course, here we are in the Regatta Village. It's coming to an end. We are looking forward to Tars Riley performing as a headliner, closing off a series of wonderful evenings and events that were part of the 44th St. Martin Heineken Regatta. We hope you enjoyed it. We know the sailors did. And we're looking forward to the 45th St. Martin Heineken Regatta, March 6th to 9th, 2025.
As Prime Minister, it's my honor and pleasure to be here today to give out the last prize, a special prize to the sailors that have come here to St. Martin, our 44th Heineken Regatta, something that government continues to support because of the great impact it has on our economic development. Of course, the marine industry is one of the fastest growing throughout the world, and so St. Martin, being a big ocean state, stands to benefit from that. So we want to be able to bring as many visitors as possible to enjoy St. Martin and enhance their experience as well. So congratulations to all the winners. Yesterday I ended up on the boat with the Coast Guard. It was a great experience to be out there, and kudos, hats off to all those sailors who do it day in and day out. It is seriously draining, and so congratulations to all the winners and all the stakeholders who made it possible. Up to now, I look forward to our next Heineken Regatta 45, where we will continue to support our sailors from here and all around the world. Come back to St. Martin.
SXV insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXV is cardless. Request your My SXV account today and enter the virtual office of SXV. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
SXV, yeah. Your social health insurances.
Speaking against the theme, preparing and optimizing women in business to win, the Chamber of Commerce officials said women in Barbados and the Caribbean have been making strides in the workplace, but there are still hurdles to overcome. She said the theme underscores the need for a more inclusive society where women are not only afforded greater opportunities at all levels, but are valued as key participants in the decision-making process across all sectors of the economy.
Women are still not in the boardroom. Women are still not having a seat at the table of decision making. And that is why we're saying, how can we then as a private sector help to advance the sustainable development agenda that speaks to greater inclusion and access for women at all levels?
She said the strategic mandate of the Chamber is member-focused and they are looking beyond the summit to pool resources.
The Chamber is engaging with, for example, the OAS and other entities to look at what kind of initiatives we can and programs we can put in place to support women in business, particularly women, female entrepreneurs. So that's one of the tangible things beyond the summit that we are looking at, and all in keeping with the Chamber's commitment, not just to say that we are going to host an event. Certainly the event is powerful. Certainly the event achieves every year its objective to enhance women developmentally, but we are also looking at the tangible programs that we can then initiate.
The executive director said the Power Summit achieves its goals and called on the audience to be true advocates for the advancement and empowerment of women across all sectors of society. Trevor Thorpe for the Business Report.